Welcome back to Never on Earth with me, John Martin, and we have another station review. And this is the first of the London terminals to get a station review. It's a Network Rail-owned station served by South Eastern Trains. Kind folks, we find ourselves at Cannon Street in the actual City of London. Now, as a kid in the 1980s, my dad took me to the anniversary celebrations here. It gets puzzling when you look at the timeline because either it was the 120th anniversary or I was older than I thought and it was the 125th. Either way, I have a bit of soft spot for this station. Cannon Street is one of the two main line termini of the South Eastern Main Line, the other being Charing Cross. To note, the South Eastern Main Line relates to the South Eastern Railway. The current South Eastern franchise uses lines built by both the South Eastern and the London Chatham and Dover, whose mainline terminus is in Victoria. As a terminus station, it's the end of the line, and all services from here then stop at London Bridge, which is 0.7 miles away. The station sits on Cannon Street. Its platforms run over Upper Thames Street and face onto the River Thames. We are in the City of London, in the Dowgate ward, very near to the Bank of England and the financial centre of the city. This site used to be a steelyard for the Hanseatic League. Not vitally important for the review, but if I mention the Hanseatic League enough in these reviews, I may have an excuse for making a video about them. If you want that, comment below. The station was built by the South Eastern Railway, as I've said. The South Eastern has started out running services to Kent. Its route, built to avoid the Downs, was circuitous and missed out a number of large Kent towns. The rival London Chatham and Dover Railway was formed and so started a rivalry that would force both companies to the edge of bankruptcy. The Chatham lot opened their terminus at Ludgate Hill, near today's City Thames Link. By moving into the city, this threatened the South Eastern, who had stations at Charing Cross and London Bridge, neither of which were in the city, and so they went about building Cannon Street. In an age before the Underground, another benefit of the new station would be a link to the existing Charing Cross station, so it would provide a fast route between the West End and the city. The station opened on September the 1st, 1866, and featured a building, an arched train shed by Sir John Hawkshaw. Two of its most recognisable features were a pair of towers that sat at the end of the building, facing the river. The station hotel was designed by E.M. Barry, son of Charles Barry of Houses of Parliament fame. Autocorrect said this should have been Houses of Parking. No comment. Anyway, the hotel, which gave frontage to the station, also held a lot of facilities. Wasn't a money spinner, but it did hold the Foundational Congress of the Communist Party of Great Britain in 1920 and basically closed in 1931. 1871 saw the District Line open to Mansion House, which took away a lot of the traffic from the Charing Cross to Cannon Street. 1892 saw a widened bridge open, allowing more tracks and sidings. The fight over territory, which had little freight to support it, brought the two rival companies to their knees, and the London and South Eastern was formed in 1899. Cannon Street, whose traffic was primarily businessmen, was under threat. Running a monorail from London Bridge was apparently discussed, as was the South Eastern running more of their services into here, as there was a link from Waterloo across the concourse of that station. World War I saw this station used mainly as goods, with services for Charing Cross now skipping here and other trains diverting to Victoria. 1919 saw 75 people injured when a train from Dartford crashed into the buffers. Grouping happened in the 1920s, and 1926 saw the station closed over June to rebuild the platforms and employ 4-colour signalling. The station was then reopened, able to cope with electric trains. While the roof was removed for the Second World War, its store location was bombed and the roof had heavily damaged. The station itself was also hit. Another outcome of the war was a friendship between architect John Poulton and surveyor Graham Tunbridge, who went on to be employed by British Rail. When the station was modernised, it was decided to make use of the space above the station, with the roof and hotel demolished and put in an office block. Mr. Tunbridge, aided by Mr. Poulton's chequebook, decided that Mr. Poulton should be the architect. The pair saw justice for this in the 1970s. The only recognisable feature remaining were the 2 towers. These were listed in the 1970s and restored in the 1980s. Steam services stopped using the station in 1961. 1976 saw the IRA blow up an empty train leaving the station, injuring 8 people on an adjacent train. The 1980s saw the station's existence threatened once again, and most of its remaining longer distance services were withdrawn outside of peak hours. 1991 saw the Cannon Street rail crash, where a 10-car train hit the buffers at 8:44 in the morning of January the 8th. Despite the crash only happening at 10 miles an hour, there were 2 deaths and 542 injuries. There have also, during the years, been a number of side-on collisions due to the misreading of signals. The 2000s saw an uptake in traffic, the Paulson building was removed, and more off-peak services returned to the station, and there was even a Sunday service. This would eventually lead to the tube station's opening hours being increased, with that station no longer being closed at weekends. The Department of Transport classes as an A category station. This is the category for busiest stations. It's one of the few stations that have 1 train operator and are run by Network Rail. There are 7 bay platforms here, all looking out onto the Thames. All platforms are 259 metres long, aside from platform 5, which is 262 metres. Platform 1 is a side platform, with 2 and 3, 4 and 5, and 6 and 7 being pairs of platforms. You can't really call them islands, I suppose, but peninsulas, I guess. Marks for services, 7 out of 10. Off-peak, there are an average of 16 services a day. Since we're a terminus station, this is 8 inbound and 8 outbound. All services serve London Bridge and then fan out to the southeastern network. There are 2 trains an hour to Orpington, 2 to Dartford, 4 trains an hour on the Slade Green Loop, a circular 90-minute journey back to Cannon Street, 2 going via Greenwich first and 2 via Bexley Heath. Peak services reach much further into Kent as far as Hastings, Ramsgate and Dover. During morning and evening peaks, there can be twice as many trains an hour from here. After crossing the River Thames, services join the tracks from Charing Cross and Blackfriars to London Bridge. However, there is still a cord that lets trains run between here and Charing Cross. The most popular journey is to Lewisham with 158,429 journeys, followed by Blackheath, New Cross, Greenwich and Petts Wood. Cannon Street has 7,507,972 entries and exits for 2024-2025, placing it just outside the top 60 busiest stations in the country. This works out at 20,570 passengers per day. Between 1997 and 2024, there had been a 50% increase here. However, the figures are well below the pre-COVID figures. 2017-2018 had 23,446,634 entries and exits. It might be in the top 70 busiest stations on the national network, but within the City of London, it's the second least busy. Only City Thames Link is less well used, about 60,000 passengers a year. Yes, this station gets lower numbers than Little Old Moorgate. Then again, Little Old Moorgate has Crossrail. The station has 2,171 services a week, which works out at 62.28 passengers per service. More than most stations. But this will have a few hours of extremely busy trains and then many hours of empty ones. But if we include interchanging passengers, which I think is an statement of how annoying it is to make change at the London Bridge, many people choose to stay on to here. We have a daily average of 21,277 passengers a day, and that's 71.08 passengers per service. Marks for onward travel, 5 out of 5. There are a few bus services from Cannon Street. The 17 runs from Archway to London Bridge, and the 15 from Charing Cross to Blackwall. The 133 from Holborn to Streatham calls at Cannon Street in one direction only. There are also night buses to Romford, St Mary Cray and Bexley Heath. Cannon Street Tube Station is on the Circle and District lines. However, one of the exits to Bank Station is on Cannon Street, another on Walbrook, and both of these are just a couple of minutes away. And it's much easier interchange than many actual station interchanges. Also Bank, really. TfL have made this an out-of-station interchange between Bank and Cannon Street. Bank itself has a Central Line, the Waterloo and City, and the Northern Lines, as well as the Docklands Light Railway. There are higher bike racks close to the station. Marks for accessibility. I'm going to give this 9 out of 10. I don't really have too much to complain about here. There is step-free access to the concourse level. There are plenty of staff, there are displays, there are announcements, there are ramps to board in the trains. I didn't see a Braille guide, but yeah, and I will point out, yes, the tube station is less accessible, but I'm not covering tube stations yet. Marks for station facilities. 7 out of 10. For London termini, this doesn't have the range of facilities of the larger long distance termini, but they have WH Smith's, Ticket Office, Cash Point, Marks Spencer's, seating, and unless you're at the right of the end of platforms, you're undercover for everything. We also have what I think is the smallest Wetherspoons in the country, the Sir John Hawkshaw. For a commuter-oriented station with frequent services, so few expected long waits, you couldn't really expect more. Plus, this station site is pretty small and crammed in. Marks for care and character, 12 out of 20. I mean, it's a well-kept station. It's clean. And when I visited over Christmas, it was nicely decorated. Although I did get hassled by one of the members of staff. And like Charing Cross, this suffers from the loss of its roof. The current train shed is very low. It's suitable for trains powered from further electricity, but it does feel cramped. Unlike Charing Cross, Cannon Street has lost its original hotel frontage. And while the current frontage is less hideous than the port and office block, it's not great. The two towers at the river end remain, and they're a pleasing piece of railway nostalgia, and given all the changes here, it is fortunate they have survived. Marks for nearby things, 9 out of 10. We're in the City of London, so there's a lot of things close by. The London Stone is just across the road, St Paul's and the Bank of England are short walks, as is Southwark Bridge with views over the Thames, and you can recreate your lock, stock and two smoking barrels end sequence here. To cross the Thames, the platforms and tracks have to be way above the river, so the station was built on arches to provide clearance. There was an estimated 140,000 square footage of cellarage, which the South Eastern envisaged for rent. Some of these spaces are still used for retail today. Overall, it's a 49 out of 65. It's 75%. Has this review annoyed you that I call it Cannon Street rather than London Cannon Street? If so, let me know in the comments. Or do you find saying London before all the termini rather clunky? This is a modern, neat station which is accessible and has a frequent service. Being in the centre of London means there are many things close by to do, and so its limited tube service is supplemented by the Bank Tube Station complex. Once again, I do thank you for watching this as I travel around the country. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, share with your mates to be notified of the next station review, and I will see you once again as I'm somewhere else.